Live from Las Vegas, it is the Pony Pundits. Well, not quite just live from Las Vegas. Live from Las Vegas and Pittsburgh, PA. Let me welcome in my partner in crime, Mr. Sig Las Vegas. Sig, how is it going today? Good to have you on the show once again. Little bit, we're in that holding pattern right now. The Triple Crown races are finally done. We finished up last week. We'll talk about the recap in a moment. Just a few weeks away from the Breeders' Cup, and it's kind of the quiet time for horse racing.
It is a quiet few weeks, Marco. Thank you. It's good to be here. Nice day here in Western PA so far. We have a couple more Breeders' Cup qualifiers running tomorrow, and then after that, we have a couple dead weeks leading up to, not dead weeks, but just no huge racing and no big names racing at the end of October here. We still have Keeneland running. We have Belmont running. We have Santa Anita running. Just some of the big names are going to be getting ready for the Breeders' Cup that first weekend in November.
Absolutely, Sig. And then just to tell our viewers, with the Pony Pundits, last year we didn't have the road to the Kentucky Derby at the original start time. We started the Pony Pundits after that. But this year, buddy, we'll be covering all of the, prep races leading up to the Kentucky Derby, assuming the Kentucky Derby will be on schedule next year with everything. So that means once we get to January, there'll be stuff happening every week, as we watch these young three-year-olds, as they make their move and, try to get themselves established and on the points to the Derby. So it's going to be fun doing the Pony Pundits coming up this year, and looking forward to that. With that said, let's go to the recap from last week, and let's talk about the Preakness. And you know what? I've got to apologize to a woman out there. Her name is Swiss Skydiver. And my apologies. I said you should not be running in the Preakness. I have my style for, I've bred raced horses since 1986, Sig, and it's something that, I have done just a handful of times. I would rather take the easier race and take the purse check than, to battle the boys. But, give the Connections all the credit in the world. They believed in the horse. Even after her one, foray against, the boys, the big test, she came up short. They came back and fired her, and man, did she race huge. And I got to give a lot of credit. The jockey rode an incredible race, and he made a move that the two horses side by side at the time were Swiss Skydiver and Art Collector. And he beat Art Collector to the punch, decided to go up the inside and run with Authentic. And that was the winning move, Sig.
Well, yeah, Robbie Alvarado only got the ride the week of the Preakness last week because Connections waited too long to lock in Tyler Gaffleo. His agent put him on some mounts at Keeneland that day, so he was unable to ride. And some people did question the ride he gave her in the Kentucky Oaks. Wasn't the best ride. She did get beat that day. But to see her come back, I mean, I know we had this conversation back in July when we talked about the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland and her running against the boys. And she held her own against Art Collector. I think the extra stamina definitely helped her. At the couple other runs, she ran the mile and a quarter Alabama after that, followed up by the mile and an eighth Kentucky Oaks. Came right back and took the mile and 3/16 Preakness, and she gave Authentic all he could handle. And I thought that was what was going to happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen in the stretch. I thought it was going to happen early in the race. So I was surprised the way that race played out.
Yeah, let me ask you this question and play devil's advocate. Maybe they have announced it already and I just missed it. A lot of football and baseball and NBA playoffs and things going on. I've been a little busy this week with football and the other sports. But what do they do come, Breeders' Cup? I know I did see that they're talking, considering, racing her again against the boys. But my question is, who gets the mount? Who's going to be the jock for her next race?
I think if you're Ken McPeak, you have to leave Alvarado on her. I mean, he got the best out of that horse. And yes, Gaffleone's won some races, but there's been a number of jockeys on her over the past year. She's raced all over the country. I believe it was 9 different tracks so far this year. But, I mean, Robbie Alvarado, last minute notice, got on the horse, got the best ride out of her. I think if you do decide to go either to the Distaff or the Breeders' Cup Classic, which she's now qualified for, I think he has to get the mount that day.
Yeah, I just want to tell people, and this is something where people don't understand what goes on when you put your horse in the box to race. And thoroughbred's a little bit different than harness racing, where my horses are. But, you know, you go through an agent in thoroughbreds. Most of the, you know, the big jocks all have agents, and you make the bookings for them. The jockeys still have the final say, no matter what. They look at what's going on and who is available, who they want to get. But the jockey, if he's got a couple mounts, he has a choice to make. Generally, that choice is going to be based on who he thinks is the best horse in that particular race, because he makes his money based on what the horse earns. And sometimes a decision is made not necessarily based on the best horse, but the best situation for the jockey. If he's got a couple different mounts, he might tend to be more loyal to a bigger stable that gives him more, you know, live mounts overall. So in this case, Alvarado was, you know, he's a good jockey, don't get me wrong, but he's not at the top of everybody's list when you're trying to acquire, you know, jockeys to ride your horse. And so it was an interesting decision that they went with him. And I want to see what they did, because he did well. I get into a dilemma a lot of times where somebody had been riding your horse on a regular basis. You keep naming them, and then you name him once and he picks off your horse. It's a business, but it's also ego driven. You know, you look and see if it's clear cut, the horse he picks off you for, the horse is much better, or you see that, you know, jockey trainer connection, I can live with that. But when I look at the program and I say to myself, what the F were you thinking in taking that horse over our horse? Then it does become a, you know, not just, you know, business. It comes a little bit personal, and I won't name that driver on the next week when we put the horse in. I'll go to somebody else. And I've experienced that the last couple over the last month with our horse Sin City Lori. I've had to make a couple driver changes just because of that situation, and that's just the way it is. And the horse has been racing much better, and I got to do what's best for me, just like the jockeys and and riders do what's best for them. So it's always an interesting cat and mouse game with these guys, but it is something to use as a handicapping tool. And I wish that thoroughbred racing would do what harness racing does. Harness racing list in the program, if somebody had been named on multiple horses, they will list and say, you know, jockey Joe, you know, John Smith was named on 1, 3, and 5, and he chose number 5, because that is a handicapping angle. But enough about that. What else did we have this week in news and notes?
One other big piece of news is that McKenzie was retired and will not be headed to the Breeders' Cup. They're going to send him at 5 years old now out to the training stable out to the breeding stable, and he's going to stud, a job that I know Marco's always looking forward to.
Yeah, they don't have to train for that one. They know how to do it well. And, you know, sometime we'll do a blooper reel, and I've got to see the process, okay, of the breeding with horses. And it ain't what you think. Let me tell you. But it is something to see. And let me tell you, it happens very quickly. But, yeah, and that McKenzie joining AP Indy was or Honor AP. What do I always want to call that horse AP Indy? He's been at stud for a while. Honor AP earlier retired suddenly as well. So hey, happy trails. It's a good life coming your way, buddy. You know, 200 different mares every breeding season, and you get paid for it. Yeah, sign me up.
Jealous, Marco.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I'm wound up today, Sig. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but
I noticed that.
And hey, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can check me out at Marco in Vegas, and of course, Sig. You can follow him at Sig Las Vegas. Sig, should we head over to the race of the day?
Let's get to it.
And I do want to remind everybody that you are covering Keeneland right now. You can get your plays over at Wager Talk. I want to tell everybody that when you do head over to Wager Talk and you're looking for Sig's plays, best place to find them is on Sig's homepage, or we just did a site redesign. If you don't see Sig on the homepage, look up at the top. You'll see the different categories of sports. You'll see an HR. HR is horse racing, and that's where you will find Sig. And if I have any horse racing stuff, it'll be there. Or you can go directly to Sig's homepage and see all that he has to offer. And he is knee-deep right now in Keeneland. That's your favorite track. And you've done well at Keeneland and continued success there. So you can check that out as well. All right, race of the day. Sig, we're going to your track. We're going to Keeneland. Race 8. It is the Fayette Stakes. Interesting race. And I looked at, there's a couple big stake races there. And just a little side note, and I just want to tell you guys how much our boy here, Mr. Sig, thinks ahead for you. He picks the race of the day for us and where we're going for with the pick 4. And when we talk about the pick 4, I will talk about that as well, because I sent him a few nasty texts yesterday. But I did send him a text as well and asked him, just curious, there's 2 stake races on the card Saturday at Keeneland, and one of them is race 8, is a $200,000 race, and race 9, a bigger stakes, a mile and an eighth on the turf for $500,000. And I wanted to crawl inside that head of yours. And, you know, we make a lot of jokes about that head. Anybody that follows me on Twitter and have seen that against a place here in Vegas that sells just gigantic pretzels. But I stepped into that scary space and asked you why we're doing race 8 is the race of the day and not race 9. And I got to tell you, you floored me with your answer. I had a, Keanu Reeves moment. I went, whoa, with your answer. Tell us why we're not doing race 9 is the race of the day.
Well, guys, race 9 is an invitational on the turf for 3-year-old fillies. What I've been watching all week actually is the Hurricane Delta that is basically working its way onto U.S. I think it's going to hit shore in the U.S. here this evening, they were saying. But the way the forecast looks, it could reach the outer edges, because this is a huge storm, guys. I don't mean to get in the weather talk with you, but I mean, this thing's 300 to 400 miles basically in diameter. And once it hits shore, it is going to take a path that heads up right and goes pretty much right over Lexington, where Keeneland's located at. So I didn't want to take a chance of basically giving you guys a complete breakdown of a turf race that may or may not get rained off the turf. I know they only have 2 races on the turf tomorrow at Keeneland, and they'll do their best to keep that race on the turf. But I figure, why should Marco and I give you guys a half hour of explanation and breakdown if a race basically comes off the turf? And when we get to our pick 4, I'm going to let you guys know if that race does come off the turf, there is a horse that definitely is a standout that has experience on both surfaces. So hopefully keep your fingers crossed we get through tomorrow, and then maybe that rain hits tomorrow evening after we can get through the full card, keep it on the turf, and hopefully hit these big pick 4 plays and bring them home.
That's how detailed my man Sig is on the horse racing scene, guys. And that was good. That was good. You impressed me. I busted your stones, for several different texts, but hey, I have to give you your due on that one, buddy. All right, let's go to the race of the day. It is race 8, and we'll start it down. Number 1, Coastal Defense. Here's a horse, 6-1 on the morning line. Comes into this race in great current form. You look at what the horse has been doing. This will be the 8th race of the season for him, but the last 4 races, Sig, first and seconds, 2 wins, 2 seconds. Can't fault what he's doing. Joe Talamo up. Del Romans, I know a trainer that you like a lot. I have a love-hate relationship with him because it seems like whenever I bet him, not there. When I don't bet him, he runs over my exacta. Tell me what your thoughts are on Coastal Defense. You laugh because you know it's true.
I don't know it's true, and I'm laughing because this horse didn't make my pick 4 ticket, but he kind of should have, I think. If you guys go back and take a look here, they purchased this horse back in 2017 as a yearling for $800,000. There's a lot of money invested in this horse. He didn't start racing until he was a 4-year-old earlier this spring. Actually, this winter at Gulfstream, they put him on the track. Like I say, he didn't make the track till February. He's found a lot of success, though, since Romans put Joe Talamo on him. He's got 2 wins and 2 seconds so far. This is going to be his first taste of stakes company, though, guys, and I think he might need this race under his belt before he starts running. I think he has a good shot to run with these types of horses going forward, but that first time moving up to stakes company, it's like a guy coming out of high school and going to play college football, or a guy coming out of college and going to play pro. They tell you the game's just a little bit faster. And I think in this case, I think the race is just going to get a little bit faster for Coastal Defense. As Marco said, though, Dale Romans has had an opportunity in the past to blow up our tickets, and this horse could do it. And
another thing with Dale Romans, he is a Kentucky guy, okay? And it seems like he gets horses ready for these meets in Kentucky. It's more special for him winning stake race. Oh, nice cup, love it. To win races in Kentucky. So this is a horse. He's on the improve. There's no question about that. It is a big class jump. And if our buddy Jeff Zidek was on with us this week, I would tell you this would be a horse he would have on his ticket because he likes to take those horses moving, even though they're moving up in class, they're moving up in class for a reason because they're racing so well at the moment. And if you look at the speed figures, 4 straight races, either bettered the speed figure of his last race or equaled it. And that's what you want to see, for a horse, what direction that arrow's going. So Coastal Defense, this is a horse that definitely I think can be live in this race. Number 2 is Captivating Moon, 5-1 on the morning line. This is a horse that, you said you left the 1 off your ticket when we talk about the pick 4 later. The 2 is a horse that I left off my ticket that worries me a little bit. His first start was so good coming off a layoff. He raced on September 3rd, but prior to that hadn't raced since May. And he comes back with a bang-up effort, finishes second, beat just ahead, again, in a lesser race. So he's making a step up in class as well. But the difference with this horse is if you go back and look at his 3 races prior to that, they were all graded stake races. So he has raced against this kind of competition before. And generally we say second start off the layoff is going to be much better than the first start. So that's my concern with Captivating Moon. But I had to keep the size of this ticket reasonable. I had to draw the line somewhere, and this is a spot where I did draw the line. Where'd you go?
Actually, I like Captivating Moon, but the thing is, he hasn't seen the winner's circle since last December, and like you said, he has been running in good stakes company, including he had a runner-up finish to By My Standards, who's one of the top horses in the country in the New Orleans Classic back at the fairgrounds earlier this year. I think if he runs back to his last effort at Church Show that you described, I think he can hit the board here. I don't think he can win. I didn't use him on my pick 4 here, but I think you can use him underneath in your trifectas, your superfectas. I think this horse has a chance to definitely be in the money.
Yeah, I should just backtrack 1 second. When I said Coastal Defense, I have on my tickets. He is my 4th choice in this race. When we get to the pick 4, you're going to see I only went too deep in this race, but I have the 1 in my tickets for my exactas, tries, and supers. So I should clarify that. Moving to horse number 3 in this one, Crafty Daddy, 5-1. Brian Hernandez up. We just talked about him with a Swiss skydiver. Kenny McPeak has this horse in here. Here is a horse that is in that third start off a layoff. This horse hadn't raced. If you go back, September of last year is when the horse raced prior to getting his 2 starts this year. He made his debut for this year, August 2nd. Nothing to write home about in that first start. Definitely was, a tightener race for him, but then comes back in a stake race, minor stake, not a graded stake, and runs a bang-up race, wins the race, and now third of the form cycle. You would figure this being an even better outing, but is it enough to get him on the ticket?
Marco, I think, this 4-year-old's been running in the Stakes Company since last summer. And like you said, he's found some success, including that win last night at Churchill. I don't think he's fast enough to run with this crowd. I could see him picking up, like I just said, with the last horse, Captivating Moon, a piece of the ticket. I would use him as well underneath in the bottom of my trifecta, my superfectas. Crafty Daddy could come in and definitely play a part of the exotic bets here. I don't think he wins this race, though.
All right. Well, the next horse, number 4, he's 15-1, and it's my new favorite horse's name, Miranaki. And the reason about that, when the text exchanges were going back and forth last night, and I was questioning the race of the day with Sir Sig, going to give you your due there. Part of the after you gave me your detailed analysis of why you picked the race that you picked, which was very good, then you had to add, send a separate text just to stick it, to me. This is the way my boy, treats his buddy. I just wanted to see you butcher the horse's name. I knew you'd have trouble with this one. And, well, you know what? Screw you. Miranaki. What say you about Miranaki?
Well, guys, if you've been watching us for a while, you'll know that we talked about Miranaki back on Pacific Classic weekend at Del Mar back in August. That's where he made his North American debut after racing in South America for the early part of his career. On that day, he finished 5th behind Maximum Security and a number of other horses. But what stood out at me was he finished 16 lengths behind. He's only worked twice since that disappointing effort on the work tab. He could be the early speed in here, but I'm not using this horse until he shows me he can compete at this level.
Yeah, what I'm going to say about the horse is this is a horse I have on my tickets, not my pick 4, but I am going to use the horse. In Sig, when we did talk about that race, I thought they were really being ambitious in placing him in that race. I thought racing in March overseas, in bringing him over here and then putting him in to go in a big race like that without having a prep race in the States, I thought was a mistake. That was a big task to put him in that race with Maximum Security. And I just think that he needed that race. I think the horse will be better this time. Is it enough to get the horse to the winner's circle? I had to draw the line somewhere, and I drew the line just above him. I don't think he gets there, but I think it is a horse that really should be considered on the tickets at a big price. And that is number 4, Miranaki. And yeah, I'm going to just send you text all day today. Number 5, Sig, is Title Ready. Trainer Stuart Dallas, Corey Lannery. Corey Lannery's not a jockey that's a household name unless you follow the Kentucky circuit. Very capable jockey down there, and personal favorite of mine because he was on one of my horses that gave me a big score. So I always like when he's on a horse and at his home, one of his home tracks. What do you think about Title Ready? Is this asking a lot of this horse in this class?
I think it is asking a lot, Marco. I am not using him. He is making his 3rd start for the Dallas Stewart barn after a training switch last year from Steve Asmussen's barn. This horse hasn't seen the winner's circle, though, since December of 2018. It's almost 2 years, and that was at Aqueduct. He's going to be closing late, and he does like the Keeneland surface. He has 2 wins in a second in 3 attempts here, but I don't think he's fast enough to run with this crew.
Yeah, I will point out this is third start off the layoff for the form cycle. So, definitely has a license to improve in here, but I don't know that his improvement will be enough. He is dropping out of a $400,000 race last time out. But if you look at the odds in that race, he really wasn't supposed to be a factor. He finished 5th in that race. By my standards, was the horse that won that race in over Owendale, a couple really good horses. So definitely a drop in class for him today, but I don't know if it's enough for him to get the job done. The next horse, Mr. Freeze. This is a horse that, I use the phrase danced all the dances. You look down his card, there's nothing but graded stakes races, Sig, and it's why he is the 3-to-1 morning line choice. He picks up Javier Castellano for this one. I like Castellano a lot. I think he's a perfect fit for this horse. Another Del Romans horse in the race. How do you see Mr. Freeze in this one?
Actually, I think you were talking about horses moving up in class earlier in the show. This is a horse that's getting class relief in this spot. He has been running with some very, very good horses. If you look at the past running lines, he's lost to By My Standards, Vacoma, Owendale finished ahead of him, Code of Honor finished ahead of him. Those are all top tier horses here in North America
State
this
Todd,
year.
too, he's raced against.
Right?
Yeah, he's everybody.
And then you mentioned Castellano getting the ride. Castellano rarely rides for Dale Romans, so I always take note of when a jockey is making a start or a ride on a horse that for a trainer that they don't normally do. It means, number one, the Castellano thinks this horse has a big shot. 2, Romans thinks this horse has a big shot. His regular rider is Talmo. Talmo's on that one that we talked about earlier. But I think Mr. Freeze is going to love the fact that he doesn't have those super fast horses in front of him in the races that he's had in the past 3 races. He's faced some real tough competition. I think he's going to suggest off these early leaders, and he's better than these horses. I think he'll make a move here, and Mr. Freeze is my pick to win this race here. I'll be betting him on top of my exotics. I'll be in my pick 4. I'm going to use actually another horse along with him just to hedge myself a little bit, but I think Mr. Freeze finds the sort of the downstep in competition here to his liking. And I think people looking at the past couple races, seeing him finish 6th in those races, might shy away a little bit from a horse they think might be on the downside of his career. I think if you can get the 3-to-1 morning line or better, fantastic. I do think that you're going to see some money go on this horse, though.
I agree with you, and I like Mr. Freeze as well. He is going to be one of my horses in the pick 4 in this leg. Number 7, Rated R Superstar. 20-to-1 on the morning line. He did finish 2nd in his last race. It was a minor stake race, not a graded stake. This horse just hasn't raced against the competition that the other horses have, and I don't think he has the speed. Sig, what do you say about Rated R Superstar?
Mark, we say it every week. There's always a couple horses in the field that we don't think belong there. This is one of them. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time on them. I'm tossing them. All
right, and that in some of the instances when we've done that, that means the horse will run on the ticket and blow up our trifecta. The 8 horse Tax, 7-2. Question is, are you going to be paying a tax with this horse? Is he going to get the action? Is he going to go off the second choice in this race? He has Tyler Gaffleone on. This is a horse, though. I look at the last couple races, and I'm not impressed. He's making a first start off of a little bit of a layoff, race back in May. Those last 2 starts weren't good. Finished 9th, finished 5th last time out. They were in graded stakes. This is a horse just like Mr. Freeze, where I said danced all the dances. You look down this horse's card, there's nothing but grade 1s and grade 2s on the horse's card. But given the last 2 races and given the layoff, do you see this horse coming right out of the gate and firing?
I can basically following this horse for his whole career. And I'm going to tell you guys, every time I think this horse has no chance, he comes back and burns me. And I don't like him tomorrow, so I'm using him for that reason. I don't like the layoff he's coming in off of. I don't like the fact that basically he hasn't run in the past 2 races this year. Those only 2 races this year, up to where he was running at the end of his 3-year-old campaign last year. He has won his only start at Keeneland. It's where he broke his maiden. And actually, out of that race, he was claimed for $30,000. Since then, they basically the connections have won $900,000 almost with this horse. So it was an excellent claim by them. But he's
bet you they had to pay a lot of taxes. Oh,
he's been off since the Oakland handicap and back in May, and he was in the mix early there, but he did fade in that race. Again, that was off a layoff here. He's coming into this race off a 5-month layoff. The last one was a 4-month layoff. I don't think he has a shot in here. So I'm definitely using him because every time I don't think he has a shot, he comes back and burns me. So he is on my pick 4 ticket just for that reason.
All right. The next one here is number 9. And before I say the name, our good buddy Ralph Michaels, I hang out with him when you're out here. You hang out with him, Sig. And we know our buddy likes to, indulge in a adult beverage or 2. Well, if we go somewhere that has a brunch and they have mimosas, by the time he's on his 5th one, he's just saying, Momosa. And that is number 9, Mimosa today.
Okay, so the best thing about Ralph, too, is if he orders those, when he gets the waitress comes through with the first order for drinks, he has them bring 2.
Yeah. Oh,
they bring the 2 mimosas before he even starts his placing his orders.
Absolutely. He doesn't. You do not want to take any chance that waitress gets busy and he runs out of a cocktail. So yes, no, that is not happening. And there's a few places out here that for Sunday brunches, you can add on unlimited mimosas. That's never going to end well. But let's talk about this mimosa. Does he have a chance?
I actually don't think so. This guy did finish second in the Oklahoma Derby a few weeks back, but he is making a big step up into this field. And basically, he hasn't run a race fast enough to show he belongs with the other horses in this field. Mimosa, even though Ralph wants more, is a toss for me.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. 12-1 up in class. Is Michael Maker is the trainer. Now, if this would have been a turf race, I might have gave it a little more of a look. Because we talk over and over again about Michael Maker and horses on the turf, but this is a dirt race, and no Mosa. The next one, number 10. This one comes from one of my favorite movies. Do you know what movie it is there, Sig? Gladiator, correct. And Aurelius Maximus, number 10. He is 10-1 in the morning line. Trainer Steve Asmussen, and has his number 1 jock up, Ricardo Santana Jr. What say you about Aurelius Maximus?
Well, Marco, he's won his 2 races since he moved to the Asmussen barn. Chad Brown did have this colt up through his 3-year-old season before they made a switch. He's only made 2 starts this year in the 2020 campaign. He's won both those starts for the Asmussen barn. Those were an allowance, so he is making a pretty big step up here into the stakes company, but it is a second start off an 8-month layoff. And I think Steve Asmussen's found out how to get the most out of this horse here. At 10-1, he is my long shot in here. He didn't make my pick 4 ticket just to keep the cost down, and it's already a big pick 4 ticket for me. But if a horse has a chance to upset in here, I think it is the 10 Aurelius Maximus.
And I am on Aurelius Maximus. He is my long shot horse in this race. And I do have him. What I'm going to point out, Sig, last year, this is a horse as a 4-year-old. He raced as a 2-year-old, had a few starts, and then something went wrong for his 3-year-old season, only got 1 start. But now he is back. He's 2 for 2 this year. He's only got 6 lifetime starts. You've heard me beat this to death about horses in that, small start range. You haven't seen the best of them yet. This horse is heading in the right direction. As you said, maybe it was just the barn switch. They found the right buttons to push on this horse, but I think this horse is on the improve. Yes, he's making a big step up in class, but I would rather see a horse making the step up in class that's doing well and have a shot than sometimes a horse that's dropping in class and not racing well, and you say, okay, now it's the softer horses, he should do well. Well, maybe there's a problem, and that's why that horse is dropping down in class. So I would rather take the horse on the improve, and that is definitely Aurelius Maximus is picking here. And when we get to our pick fours, which we're going to swing to next, this will be a horse you'll see that I'll have on my ticket. Sig, let's just go ahead and head into those pick fours. But before I start the pick four, we already told everybody to check out your stuff. You can get your daily picks for Keeneland, just $9. You also have a yearly package. They can pick up year package, gets everything. 12 months of Sig, all of your horse reports. You cover the big tracks all throughout the year. Keeneland and Saratoga being your two favorite meets. All the Triple Crown races, you can pick that up for $399. A great way to do that. And I've got a really special deal for you guys this week. If you like the work we do here at Wager Talk, and we've got so many different shows that we have, and you know that I do bet on it, our NFL show, and we break down stuff. This week we even added college best bet to it. I've got in college football on Saturday my ACC game of the week. Normally this play would sell for $25. Now, the play, what we do every Tuesday, Johnny Detroit picks one capper, and we sell their best bet for $2 on Tuesday. Normally that's just Tuesday that we do that. And so a lot of the other shows that I'm on, I can't really promote that. Well, Johnny's leaving the $2 pick up all week. So that means if you guys haven't purchased it yet, or maybe you've never purchased me before, Sig before anybody, this is a great opportunity to try out Wager Talk. Head over to Wager Talk, go to my homepage. You can pick up my ACC game of the week for $2, guys. That's a $2 win ticket. You can pick up my ACC game of the week. And guys, we are hitting 67% on the year in college football. Going back to last season, last December through now, my football, college and pro, is 45-27. That's 62% winners since last December in football. $2, guys. Check it out. Normally $25. All right, Sig, we're going to run through the pick four. I'm going to go through your whole ticket. We'll run it. Just give us your top horse, a couple statements why he's your best horse in that race, and give us the numbers, because I know we both went deep in a couple of these legs. So let's start it off. Race 7 at Keeneland kicks off the late pick four. And where are you going, my friend?
Marco, I landed on a 10-1 shot on top here. This is a maiden special weight for 2-year-old fillies. They're going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. The 4-horse Binge Watch, like I said, 10-1 your morning line. Flavian Pratt's up for trainer Rudolph Brissett. Am I really using a 10-1 shot who finished 4th in his debut at Ellis Park? Yes, I am. This filly's been training at Keeneland and has fired some really nice works, including a blazing gate work at 46-8, which if you see a young horse, a 2-year-old horse that's in training and fires a blazing gate work, that horse is ready to go. That's one of the toughest things for a young horse to learn, is how to break from the gate. So if you see them before even they run their first race, running fast works out of the gate, something to keep in mind when you're taking a look at their past performances. The first race is always, we talked about this before, guys, is a learning opportunity for a young horse. This horse has that experience now under her belt. She faded in the stretch in the debut, but they've been working her since, building up the stamina here. Brissett's good with young horses. And I think the whole entire plan here was to run that race at Ellis Park, get that experience in her, and get her ready to bring her into a good spot here at Keeneland where they want to win. I mean, Keeneland, I told you guys before this, Keeneland's like the top gun of horse racing. all the best trainers, all the best connections send their best horses. They want to win at Keeneland. They want to win at Saratoga. It's the prestige of those meets and those tracks. And I think that Binge Watch has a big shot here at a big price to kick off this pick 4. I also used the 12 horse, the 9 horse, and the 6 horse in here. And I could have gone deeper. It's tough guys with 2-year-olds, as we told you before. A number of them have it. This is their first race, so we're looking at the debut. But that 12 horse that I did mention is making its debut for Chad Brown, and he's been known to show up with a 2-year-old that just knocks everybody's socks off. So we are using him as well. Marco, who'd you like in here?
Yeah, so well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is we're just going to go ahead and go through all your 4 legs, and then I'll come back to mine. So go to the second leg, which is race 8. We already talked about in detail. You're settling in on the 6 and 8 in this race, correct?
You guys know I like the 6, Mr. Freeze, like I said when we talked about race of the day. And I'm using that 8 tax because I don't like him. And when I don't like him, he tends to basically not beat me. So I'm using those 2 horses here. If you want to go a little deeper, you got a bigger budget. That 10 Aurelius Maximus is the 3rd horse I would use in there. I think he's got a big shot if he makes that improvement. I'm going to
tell you something right now. If your 8 horse gets there and wins, I am going to get the guys to cut that soundbite of why you picked the 8. I don't like him. That's why I'm using him, because that's when he usually wins. And I am going to play that on endless loop. Okay? I'm just warning you. All right?
I never do that, but in this case, this is a horse, and this horse goes, I can go back and tell you about many, many experiences either in front of my computer here or sitting in a book out there in Vegas where I was just MF and tax up and down because it had no shot that day and ran basically right out of his horseshoes.
All right. Let's go to race 9. How are you doing race 9, the 3rd leg?
Race 9 is another big stake here, $500,000 Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup for 3-year-olds fillies. We're going a mile and an eighth on the turf. I landed on the 4 Magic Attitude on top here. It's making his second North American start. Second North American start after running a win at Belmont. They imported her from France. She doesn't train fast, but she's a big-time closer, and she didn't get the best start last time out, but she recovered and she won by over 2 lengths. I think she's going to make a big improvement on her second start for this barn, and I almost singled this horse, but it's a tough field on the turf, and I did land on 2 other horses here. I used the 1, Harvey's Little Goal, and the 2, Sweet Melania in here. I did mention to you guys that there is a chance that the rain gets to Lexington during the card on Saturday. If this race somehow does get taken off the turf here, the 1 horse has won on both stakes races on both turf and on the dirt, and I think she has a big advantage here if for some reason this comes off the turf and becomes basically a mud race. The 1 horse is definitely one. I think the 4 will scratch in that case. But if you're betting this that race and it comes off the turf, look at the 1. Definitely going to have an advantage on the dirt.
Last leg,
race 10 is just a maiden claimer for 2-year-olds going 6 furlongs on the dirt, which is like easy to handicap because, I mean, they have maybe a race under their belt, maybe 2. I landed on the 3 here, Copley, 5-2 on the morning line. Gerardo Corrales is riding for Wesley Ward. This guy got the ultimate equipment change and then went out and ran the fastest 5 furlong work at Keeneland last week. If you don't know what that means, it means he was gelded. Poor guy.
And let me tell you, you're going to get the ultimate equipment change if you keep sending me pick 4s that have a maiden race, maiden special weight on the front end, and a maiden claimer on the back end. That was part of our text exchange last night as well with doing the maiden races, and that's why I had to go so deep on my ticket today because maiden races can be crapshoots.
Okay, so back to why you're here. Copley will be making his 3rd start for a trainer who's done very well with 2-year-olds. I think being gelded may make all the difference for this guy. I know in some cases it definitely is going to, but this is a pretty wide open field here. I did go deep. I went with the 3. I also used the 5, the 7, the 6, and I used the 1. And it's basically a coupled entry right now. Let you guys know I don't like the 1. The 1 horse here is Hillbilly. Made his debut on turf and finished 66 lengths back at Kentucky Downs last month. I don't think he's ready to go. I do like the 1A who's making his debut. I'm sorry, making her debut in here. Ward also trains these horses, and they're from breeders Ken and Sarah Ramsey, who breed and own. And if you guys have followed horse racing for any amount of time, the Ramsey name is well respected, and they don't send out junk horses. I think if the 1A gets in here, I think he's got a shot. If the 1 gets in here, I may just take the 1 off of he's the last one on my ticket. He may come off my ticket because I don't think he has a shot. Marco, how'd you see the pick 4?
Yeah, just go back to Wesley Ward for a second. Didn't he have a really good meet earlier in the year at Keeneland?
No, actually, no. Most years, when Keeneland runs in April, Ward has his 2-year-olds, brings them out for their debut, and he's been known to dominate that meet with 2-year-olds. With Keeneland postponing their spring meet because of COVID concerns, Ward did send a few horses to Gulfstream in May that didn't do the 2-year-olds that didn't do that great, and he didn't have performed the way he did normally in past years at Keeneland when they ran their summer meet. When they postponed the move, ran to July, he didn't have the success. But overall, in his career, he's had great success getting babies ready to race, and a lot of them win on their debut. And you'll see he gets bet like it, especially in Kentucky, where it's known that he dominates these baby races.
All right, let's get to my pick 4 for this week and bring that up on the screen for you guys. And we'll go to the first leg of the pick 4, race 7. And I will tell you that the 9 is my top choice, and I'll tell you a couple things about him in a second. But this, to me, is a wide open race. And that's why I went as deep as I did. 9, 6, 11, 2, 12, and 4. I went 6 deep in the first leg. Number 9, One Fast Orb. And Orb was a horse, Sig, that I loved. I made a couple big scores with him as well. So you always remember those horses that treat you good. But I got to point out, this is a horse that has raced 3 times so far. They were all on the turf. He's making his dirt debut today. That's going to be either really good or could be really bad. He's got the speed, I think, to win this race. Those first 3 starts, the first 2, he was on the front end, just got caught at the end, finished second, and then went to Kentucky Downs, a track that's all turf races, and they get really good fields and large fields there. You're well familiar with that track. You cover it every year for their meet. And I'm going to throw that one out and just say that, it was tough competition, and now they must think this horse has a shot as a dirt horse. They wouldn't race him in here. So I landed on him as my top choice, but I can tell you this is a wide open race, and I'm spreading out. Going to the second leg, which we talked in detail, we are, almost in agreement. I've got your first and third place horse. Mr. Freeze is my top choice. And then I like what I'm seeing from Aurelius Maximus. I think this horse can light up, at a decent price. And then when we were talking about that race, I left the 1 off and the 4 off my pick 4 ticket. But those are both horses that I am using into trifecta and exactas and stuff in that race. Moving to race 9, and Sig, I was so close to just singling the 4 horse here. And then I would have went even deeper in the first leg had I done that in the last leg as well, get more coverage there. But it is a turf race, or it is very competitive. But on paper, I absolutely love the 4 in the 9th race. And the reason I love it is that first race here in the States after shipping over. This horse raced in July over in Great Britain and then comes here in races in September. That's a lot of shipping and no prep race in between here in the United States. I usually like to see a horse have a race under their belt in the U.S. Well, what did this horse do? First race in the U.S., bam, wins out of the gate. Granted, and it was a grade 1 stakes race, put up a decent speed figure. But more importantly, that was first time Lasix. This is second time Lasix. Everything is lining up just right for this horse. And Javier Castellano aboard again, rode the horse in that victory last time out. This is the horse to beat in this race. If the horse does get beat, like you, I do like Sweet Melania. This is a horse that third start off the layoff. This is a horse that is improving with the speed figures going in the right direction. Has a first and a second so far this season. Todd Pletcher, we know he's always going to get action with the horse. And you look at it, it's a horse that they paid $600,000 for, royally bred. I am going to include that horse as my second choice, and that's why I went too deep here. And then in the last race, like you, this is a wide open race. I settled in on number 6 as my top choice in here, Assumption. This is a horse that this is strictly going to be making his first start. And as we talk about horses in these maiden races, they're hard to handicap because a lot of times you don't know what the intentions are of the connections. I am not saying in any form that anybody is stiffing a horse in a race like this. But what I am saying is a lot of times they will tell the jockey that education is more important than winning this race. If you win the race, that's fine. But I want the horse to learn to race from behind. Sit in, come from off the pace, get what you can get down the lane. I want to see this horse moving forward. So that's the element that makes maiden races tough. So what do you got to go on? You don't know what the trainers are going to do and what they're going to instruct the jockey or really how good the horse is. You look at breeding, you look at the trainer's history with young horses, first-time starters, what they do in maiden races, what they do in maiden claimers, and then you look at the way the horse was training heading into the race. And this is all about a training pick for me. You look at number 6, Assumption, and you talk about maiden claimers. This horse has been training in the morning like a good horse. 4 furlongs last time out, 47 and change. 5 furlongs, a minute and change. 4 furlongs, 47 and change. This horse has been a beast in the morning, which tells me they think this horse has some talent. They're drilling him in the morning with those works, which tells me they're probably going to go to the front with the horse. There's a jockey on him that I'm not familiar with, following the circuit down there. So there's a lot of things, but it comes out of a good farm. The breeders are the owners on this horse, Windstar Farm. I don't think they're going to play around. I think they're going to go right out of the gate, and that's why I am making an assumption here that they're going with Assumption right out of the blocks, and that's why I put them on top. But this is a wide open race, and that's why I went as deep as I did. 6, 3, 7, 5, and 1. We got a lot of the same numbers there, Sig, and my ticket comes out to $60 as well. Any final thoughts, my friend?
It is a tough sequence tomorrow. If the weather does become a factor, definitely, like I tell you guys, if you follow me, take it easy. It's tough enough to win on good conditions on a fast track, on firm turf. When we get to a sloppy track or a muddy track, or we get to yielding or soft turf, it becomes a different ball game. It just becomes tougher. So whenever, it's just not tomorrow. Anytime you're playing the horses, just make sure you take it easy when you have an off track, either on the dirt or on the turf.
And if there are any changes, if any of our horses get scratched or this does come off the turf, that one leg, Sig will send out our picks again tomorrow through Twitter. And if we lose a horse, from our pick 4, we will send out the updated version. So be sure to follow both of us on Twitter tomorrow. Once again, you can follow Sig at Sig Las Vegas, and you can follow me at Marco in Vegas. And again, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Pony Pundits. It's always fun doing the show with you, Sig. Like busting stones back and forth and providing some good information for our viewers. Again, if you like the show, do us a favor. Hit that old thumbs up button and leave us a comment on YouTube. I like to go back in and see what you guys have to say. And hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the shows at Wager Talk. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get notifications every time a new show is available. And we've got shows daily, guys, covering all of the sports. For Sig Las Vegas, I'm Marco D'Angelo. Until next week, may you be on the right side of all of those photo finish and head bobs and cash some tickets. I will see you guys next week, along with my partner in crime, Sig Las Vegas. Till next week, guys. Have a good one and cash some tickets.